Let's hop back on the bike and I'll talk about my last number one thing I love about this bike. What's good, guys? Reese here, SportbikePOV.com. Once again back with another video. So today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 favorite things about the 2024 BMW S1000RR. This isn't a scripted video by any means. I do have 5 things that I want to talk about, but I don't know what I'm going to say until I say it, you know? So it's just going to be kind of freeform, more casual. The one thing I do have planned is that I'm heading over to a location right now where I'm going to hop off the bike, do a little walk around and talk about some certain things. But this first part is just gonna be riding there, and I can talk about the first couple of things I love about this bike. So another thing I want to preface this video by saying is that my only frame of reference for how good this bike is when I compare it to my CBR 600 and my friend's EX6R. So I really don't have a good frame of reference to compare this bike to anything. But honestly, it's hard to imagine being much better than this bike, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I really have minimal complaints. I will make a separate video about the 5 things I dislike about this bike. There's only like 2 I can think of at the top of my mind, but if you want to see that, stay tuned. But yeah, like I was saying, the first thing I love about this bike is the comfort. Now, I am a taller rider. I am 6'2", and as you can see, I do flat feel on both sides with a little bend in my legs. But dude, if I was 5'3", I really don't think I'd be able to ride this bike. Not trying to disrespect my short kings out there. You can always lower the bike, you know. But yeah, for my height, I feel like this bike fits me perfectly. Even the height of the foot pegs, I don't know if you can see that camera angle right there. It's not a super intense bend in my knee. It's just nice and comfortable. I've ridden this bike for 4-hour round trip, so 2 hours one way, 2 hours back, and no issues at all. No knee pain, no back pain, no wrist pain. Maybe a little bit of back soreness, but it wasn't like pain. Just kind of had to stand up and stretch a little bit, you know, do some twists. I don't know if y'all remember, but back in the day when I was talking about getting this bike, and I was kind of contemplating between this, the ZX-10R, and the CBR 1000RR, and I kept hearing about how uncomfortable the RRR is, just because it's such an aggressive riding position. So that really kind of strayed me away from getting one. Now granted, I never got a chance to sit on one, so I don't know how it really is, but one day, because I do want to get that bike eventually. But anyways, going back to this bike, I wouldn't call the riding position aggressive at all. You can get into an aggressive riding position, obviously by scooting back in the seat and then leaning forward. Very aggressive riding position. But when you're just cruising and you're sitting upright, a nice comfortable bend in the legs, the reach is perfect for my arm length. I really don't have to lean that far forward, so it saves my back a lot. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on my wrist by leaning. It just fits me so well, dude. I seriously have no complaints about the comfort. The seat is not quite as soft as my CBR 600. That thing is like sitting on a lazy boy, bro. I don't know if that's a stock seat or not, but it's super plush. This one is definitely more firm, but it's not an uncomfortable firm. I've heard bad things about the M seat. I've heard that's uncomfortable as fuck. This seat is not the M seat or the sport seat, whatever it's called. Like I said, I did 2 hours one way, 2 hours back. My ass felt fine. Pause.
How's that ass feel?
But yeah, I think that covers the comfort portion of this, so moving on to number 4. And number 4 is the sound. Now, when I got this bike, I had the stock exhaust on it. Granted, it was the titanium option. I think it's like a $1,500 upgrade for the stock exhaust going to the stock Akrapovic titanium exhaust. And you know, it sounded good. I was impressed by it. I wouldn't necessarily say it was loud. It did sound subdued. Although it did have some nice crackles and pops when you let off the throttle. That was what really impressed me when I first got this bike. Every time you let off the throttle, it just pops and bangs, and it sounds so sick. I love that. You do hear more engine noise than you do exhaust noise when you have the stock exhaust, but it does still sound good. And it is a unique sound too, the BMW. It's not a screamer, it's not a growler, it's kind of somewhere in between. But it does still sound smooth in a way too. I don't know, man, it's hard to define. It really does have its unique sound, which I love. Had to get away from the traffic real quick. But yeah, bro, like I was saying, the real game changer came when I switched to the full headers. I got the Akrapovic titanium headers pairs with the Akrapovic GP Shorty exhaust, and bro, it's fucking incredible. It shoots flames. I can't tell you how long I've wanted a bike or a vehicle in general that shoots flames. And bro, now that I have one, oh dude, I'm so stoked about it. It's just such a flex, you know? Especially at nighttime when you're revving at like a red light or some shit and just flames popping off. Every time you shift, flames blowing off. Like, dude, it's fucking legendary. Again, kind of getting off track here, but talking about the sound. So I have a buddy that has this exact same bike, and he had the full exhaust setup before me, and he let me test ride his bike. The difference is just night and day, bro. It's a complete different experience. You can see my reaction to the first ride on that bike on my YouTube channel. As soon as I got home after test riding his bike, I ordered the headers. Legit, just dropped 2K right there, boom. I needed it. And videos just really don't do it justice, bro. Like, the sound quality in a video, it can't capture the true loudness and all the nuances of this exhaust. But especially with my mic setup and my helmet and everything, it just can't do it justice. I will post some clips here of like outside recordings, like flybys and shit, so you can get a better understanding of how it sounds. But again, videos and recordings just can't do it justice. I'll also put in the clip here of me starting this bike next to my CBR 600, so you can kind of get an idea for the difference in sound level between the bikes, because it really is a big difference. It doesn't really sound much louder in videos because obviously everything's leveled, right? Everything's compressed. But if I start the bikes up next to each other in the same audio clip, you'll be able to hear how this bike drowns out the sound of the other bike. So yeah, I'll put that clip in here. Also, here's a couple of flyby videos. And I don't know, maybe some revs. Or launch control. Which I'm gonna be talking about later. But yeah, bro, I really can't say enough good things about how amazing this bike sounds, particularly with the full exhaust system. If you get this bike, bro, just get the full system, trust me. Don't wait, drop like the 2 to 3K or whatever system it is that you're planning on getting, the Akrapovic, the Aero, whatever the fuck. Those are the ones I recommend. Either get the Aero headers and pair it with a slip-on like a SC Project or an Akrapovic or a fucking a Spark or whatever you want to do for the slip-on. You can have the Aero headers or the Akrapovic headers. I know a lot of people get the SC Project. I haven't heard it in person. I do hear it's louder than the Akrapovic, but I can't imagine it being much louder than this, bro. I really can't. Because it's just a cam at the end of the headers, you know? There's like barely any packing in there, so the SC Project can't be much louder. Sure, maybe the tone's different, and you get carbon fiber if you want, but I wanted to stick with the full titanium. And this bike already came with the slip-on, which was pretty nice, because that saved me like 900 bucks. And Akrapovic is like top of the line, you know? They're known for their R&D and their performance gains. But yeah, I think that covers everything I wanted to say about the sound, so I'm actually about to pull up to my location right here, and I'll hop up the bike and I'll talk about my number 3 thing that I love about this bike. All right, one more thing about the sound. I already touched on it, but the pops and bangs has got to be my favorite thing. Especially because it's every time you let up the throttle, and if you flip the throttle, it keeps popping. So you can control how many pops you get. I'll show you again. So you can just keep on blipping the throttle a little bit, and the pops and bangs will just keep on coming, bro. And that's the spot right there. The other thing that's cool about the pops and bangs is when you're riding at night, every time it's popping and banging, there are flames popping off. Little baby ones, but there's still flames coming out of the exhaust when it's popping like that. I don't know, man. It's just, it's so much fun. It's so cool. All right, so this is the spot right here. Y'all may or may not remember this spot from back in the day when I went over the mods on my CBR 600. Shout out to my real ones if you remember that. All right, let's stop these cams here. Bro, tell me that shit's recording. You son of a bitch. How is that not recording? All right, guys, I'm gonna switch to my phone. I'll catch y'all in a sec. All right, guys, so my third favorite thing about this bike is the looks. Sorry about the noise, there's a bridge right there. Do I really need to say anything about the looks? I mean, the fucking winglets on the front, all the intricate details, bro. That red burst in there of the shock, matching with the bike. Logo looking clean as fuck. The detailing here of the little RRs And I don't know if you can tell, but there's like a little glittery shimmer inside this black paint here. I don't know if the camera's gonna pick that up, but it's just such a pretty bike, man. There's detailing all along here too. We'll kind of go into those switches a bit later, talking about the functions. The titanium on the exhaust too. I installed it myself. I do have the footage, and I need to get around to editing that footage, bro. I have like 100 gigabytes of footage minimum. It's like 109 or something like that I got to get through, and I will get to it eventually. I promise you guys. I'll post a video of how to install the exhaust yourself. It's really not that bad. I had no prior experience doing something like that before, and it really was pretty straightforward. But I mean, just look at it, dude. It's a work of art. It's a work of art, man. I'll quickly go over my mods real quick. So these are Rizoma stealth mirrors. I'm sure you've all seen those before on lots of different bikes. You can flip them down if you want, but I usually leave them up because even though they are basically useless mirrors, they do something at least. You got to kind of lean to see behind you, but I usually check over my shoulder anyway, so it's not a huge deal. Better safe than sorry, that's what I'm trying to say. I don't think I've showed you the back yet. So the next mod I did was this Fender Delete here. This is the NewRageCycles Fender Eliminator. I got the low mount, so they have one which is a high mount like this, so you can read the plate if you're a fucking narc. And I got the low mount one, so it's harder to see the plate, obviously. What's also pretty nice about the low mount is it doesn't show up on the Insta360 cam. I don't have to blur my plate or anything when I use the 360 cam, because I really don't have the software to do that. I know like Adobe Premiere probably does, but I just use iMovie, you know, so I don't have access to all that bougie shit. Just gotta make do with what I got. Yeah, I keep getting off topic on this video. Maybe I can see why people script this shit now. But yeah, I think that covers the whole looks portion of the bike. So now let's go into my number 2 favorite thing about this bike, which is the features. The technology on this bike is nothing short of incredible. There are so many electronic things on this bike that you get that you just don't get with other bikes. I mean, most sport bikes don't even have a fucking fuel gauge on it. So I got my fuel gauge here, total miles. I put a couple thousand miles on it already over a course of like almost a year. Tire pressure monitor, and your range. I usually keep it on the tire pressure monitor just to keep an eye on that shit. And if you hit down, you get all these different menus, right? And you use this jog wheel here to control it. So you can scroll through the menu just by pushing like this to go to the right, and then to go to the left, you push it the opposite way. And it scrolls just like that. So if you go down again, and I'm just hitting the menu button here, by the way, shows you your current engine temperature, your range, your battery, your tire pressure. Scroll over to the right, has all your fucking odometer shit, trips, tire pressure screen, shows you the specs that you should be at, shows you when you need your next service. So mine's not due until May, and it will come up with a separate screen. It's like a little yellow icon at the very end of this, and you scroll all the way over, and that's just saying like if there's like any sort of malfunction, or if you need your service, if it's due very soon, that'll come up with that warning screen. You can go over to sport mode, and that'll pull up like your lean angle and your RPM. Shows you your braking input, your traction control. Super sick. And I think there are different options. Yeah, you can choose different screens. That one looks pretty mint. Shows you your lap times too. I didn't even know that. I'm sure there's a lot of shit I don't even know about this bike. I haven't read the manual from cover to cover. I know there's like a launch control too. Tried it one time, super fucking sketch. Basically, you put it in launch control and you have to wide fucking open throttle, and then just dump the clutch, and it's sketch, dude. Because if you back off the throttle even a little bit and then get back on it, it disables wheelie control. So you can just fucking yeet it into oblivion. That's another thing that's cool about this bike, is it comes with wheelie control, and wheelies are a lot of fun, and it just instills a little bit more confidence in you that you know you're not going to dump your bike. So I really love that feature on this. Another feature I love is cruise control. Man, it is a game changer. Just getting to rest your throttle hand every now and then if you're like highway cruising and shit. Slow moving traffic, you don't feel like weaving in and out. Put it on cruise control, cruise behind the cars. Super nice. Dynamic traction control is pretty cool. Customizable suspension too. I don't think it's gonna let me do it because my bike isn't started. Maybe, oh, here we go, settings. So go to your assist. You can change your damping, vehicle settings. You can put on a shift light, pit lane limiter, riding mode pre-selection. So this is where you can choose which modes you want on the screen, because you can only choose 4 at a time. Basically on this side, there's a mode button, right? And you hit mode and it changes on the screen there. So there's a rain mode, There's a road mode. There's a dynamic mode between race and road, which is kind of like the best of both worlds. And then you have the Race Pro modes. So you go to configuration here, and here's my Race Pro 1 setup. So you can change the engine throttle response, the engine braking, the traction control, the wheelie control, the ABS. Another feature that I forgot to mention, this bike does have ABS. I don't really want to change anything, so let's back out of this. Another feature that I thought I would never use in Florida, or in Mexico, I should say, is heated grips. So there are 3 different heat settings that you can choose, and I thought I would never use it in Florida, but dude, I'm not gonna lie, in the winter months it's pretty nice having some warm hands. I'll turn this off before my battery dies. So there's an SOS button here. Hopefully I never have to fucking use that. I can't even get it open, so hopefully I don't have to use it. But basically you hit the button and they send out people. Another feature is the quick shifter. Smooth as butter, dude. My CBR 600 didn't have a quick shifter, so I was doing everything manually. And again, a thing that I thought I wouldn't use as much as I do. I hardly use the clutch anymore, I'm not gonna lie. It's so convenient using the quick shifter. It's smooth as fuck. It lets off pops when you downshift using the quick shifter, more so than you do if you were to manually do it. So that's another benefit of using the quick shifter. Let me think, what else? What other features are there? I'm sure there's some things that I'm forgetting. But yeah, I think that's everything when it comes to the features. So let's hop back on the bike and I'll talk about my last #1 thing I love about this bike. What a beautiful day, man. All right, let me just hit this turn and then I'll talk about my #1 thing. All right, so my #1 thing that I love about this bike, obviously, you guessed it, their performance. I mean, that's why we all love bikes, right? 40% how fast it goes, 25% how it looks, 25% how it sounds, and then 10% to impress the ladies. But obviously performance is the main underlying factor of why you buy a bike. And this thing delivers in spades, man. I mean, this is a super bike for a reason. But yeah, man, performance is why we all love bikes, right? For the fraction of a price of a supercar, you can have the same level of performance. It's a no-brainer. Obviously, there's more risk involved, and it's also more fun because of the risk in a way. Is this thing too fast for the street? Yeah, absolutely. Do I really give a fuck? Absolutely not. This thing is dangerously quick, man. If you redline this bike in first gear, you're at like 97 miles per hour, which is pretty much felony territory on any road. Especially now in Florida, they have this stupid super speeder law where if you're going above 100 miles per hour, even on the highway, you can go to jail for that. All that's really doing is motivating bikers to not stop for cops. I mean, not me personally. I'm talking about in general. Everywhere. But yeah, bro, the performance on this bike, it's just ridiculously fast. The handling is just beautiful. Like, it's so whippable for a 1000. No lie, when I first got this bike, after riding it for about a week or two, I took my CBR 600 out for a ride, and I thought there was something wrong with it, just because the handling felt so off. I thought, like, I don't know, maybe the front forks had spilled all the oil out or something. This bike, it just controls so well. Like, it's so flickable. As much as people say 600s are flickable, this bike is more flickable than my 600. Like, the way the suspension is set up, you just have so much confidence in corners. It's honestly an incredible piece of machinery, man. They really nailed this bike, and to the point where I'm legit gonna have one in my garage for the rest of my life. I really am. There's obviously more bikes that I want. My next bike is gonna be the Ninja H2, and then I'll probably get the CBR 1000RR. But I'm always gonna have one of these in my garage, bro, because there's a work of art, from like how it looks to how it's built to how it performs. It really is just something special, bro. I do hear There is some issues with the reliability, but I have had no problems so far. Like I said, I've had it for nearly a year, put a few thousand miles on it, and have had no issues whatsoever. But granted, it's only been a year. But also granted, I do push it pretty hard fairly frequently. Just stay on top of the maintenance, bro. You know, that's the main thing. But yeah, guys, I think that's the video. Hopefully I wasn't rambling too much. I know this is a different style of video than what I've been putting out recently. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you smash that like button. If you have any questions or anything, drop it in the comments. I'll be happy to answer. But yeah, with that being said, it's been another episode. Like and subscribe. SportbikePOV. I'll catch you on the next one.